C4,
Here.
Supervisor C3,
Here.
Supervisor C1,
Here.
Vice Chair,
Here.
District Attorney,
Here.
District Treasurer.
Here.
For the record, the chair will not be here.
Can we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry.
Can we have a motion to open new business and approve of the meetings, the minute meeting? Can we have a second? Any additions or deletions or substitutions of the agenda? I'm sorry. All in favor? Do we have any additions, deletions, or substitutions of the agenda? No. Adoptions of the agenda? No? Okay. Yeah. Okay. We have to, I need a motion to approve of the regular budget board meeting, February 22nd, 2020. That's correct? Okay, February 2nd, 2023, and March 22nd, 2023. Can I have a motion? By Santana, and can I have a second? By Chris Sell. All in favor? And there's no public comment at this time. Can we have a motion? We just move forward with it. So, old business and new business. I need a motion to open and close that, correct? Okay. So, discussion and vote of reservoir security for 7 days. Supervisor, would you like to speak about that?
Yes. I want to discuss the security of the reservoir because with yourself always saying that we have a gap at the reservoir that the problem is that we only have security on the weekend and something may happen in the other days of the week. Right itself?
Yes and no.
Yes or no?
Yes and no.
Can you please explain?
You finishing?
Yes.
Thank you.
I am happy with the way that we have security on the weekend, but because with yourself, it's always saying that things can happen in the time that we have no security. That's why I make I put an agenda to have security 7 days a week, so we be more covered in the security services due to the fact that myself says anything can happen in the time that we don't have the security service.
Mr. Self, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I just want to clarify. So the reason about getting rid, what I put in the motion was to get rid of the security because it's about $45,000 a year that we spend. And whenever I ask for how many people goes into the reservoir, nobody is keeping track of that. So the problem is once the security leaves, anybody could go in there. So what I was referring, what Santana is speaking about, is that I put in a motion to get rid of the security, change the lock, and that's it. And if people want to go in with horses or walk, we can make something for about $1,000, maybe a little more, and they could go in there, and it'll save the community $45,000, and we can allocate the $45,000 to something more beneficial. than security just sitting out there. That's what Mr. Santana is referring to.
Anything else, Mr. Santana?
No, you just explained that the 47 days due to the fact that Mr. Self says that anything can happen during the time, but we don't have security services out there in the entrance of the reservoir.
Board member, do you have any?
No, I'm not to say that.
Can you make a motion?
Like I said, when I start discussing about the issue of the 7 days, I am happy with the way that we have it right now on the weekend, but because with myself, always saying that we may have problems the days that we do not have security services out there. That's why in 7 days. With yourself, do you want any other day besides the weekend to add any other day of the security? Like,
No, sir, it's your motion, not mine.
okay, no, I asked you because
No.
I know you were concerned.
No.
No. Then I take away my motion and leave it on the weekend so I can do that right now.
Okay.
I don't want to make a motion for the 7 days because I am happy with the weekend.
Okay. Do I still have to call it, correct, John?
Well, no, there is no motion.
Okay.
I withdraw the motion.
Yeah, so there's
We'll
on
move,
item 2.
we'll move forward to item B, discuss and vote on new consultant for the reservoir permit.
So, as you all recall, there's been an interest to move a little faster with the process of getting a permit for the wetland impacts in the reservoir and reopening the reservoir. You know, previously we had hired at a very low cost, a one-man, literally a one-man operation, but that person, like most consultants nowadays, was very busy and we were low on the list. So I was directed to go and interview consultants and find another consultant, one that is cost-effective, and I think I have found that person. Hopefully you all have been looking at your emails. So about 2 weeks ago, I sent you a proposal from Flatwoods Enterprises. That Flatwoods Enterprises is a environmental consultant. So this is a person that looks at wetlands, determines what the wetland impacts are. We also need an engineer, because the engineer is going to help with the permit application, surveys, topo, all the stuff that environmental consultants do not do. And so about 10 days ago, I emailed all of you a proposal, looks like this, from a company called New Lines. They have an office up in Okeechobee. So what I had them do is, New Lines got together with Flatwood and they submitted a joint proposal. That's what I emailed to you about 10 days ago. Have you all received that?
Yes.
Yes.
Good, okay. So I'm going to go over just so that everyone here is aware of what's in that proposal. So the company is called New Lines Land Consultants, LLC. And they will be working with the environmental consultant, as a team. So, I drafted a scope of work, but, I'm not an engineer. But I did my best at putting a scope of work, and they had a lot of questions. And I know some of you deal, Renio, Larry, Chris, you deal with engineers a lot. So when they put a flat fee on a project, so engineers go, okay, I'll do it for 50 grand. They put a flat fee. These guys, since they're new and they don't have a lot of information about what's out there, I told them, let's do it in a two-step process. Step one, in an amount not to exceed $2,500, you do what's called time and materials. You go out there and figure out what needs to be done. After that first phase, which is really short, talking about a few weeks, then they come back to us with a flat fee proposal. You know, they wanted to do it time and materials. I would never accept the time and materials because then that's like a blank check. They can keep on sending bills. I'd rather have a flat fee. The scope of work being wetland assessment, prepare a permit application with the Water Management District, process that permit application through the district, meet with district staff, do all that and get the permit. That's the whole process. So what you have in front of you is the first step. So you see that at the bottom of the first page and going to the next page is they have all the deliverables. You know, prepare an environmental resource permit application. Yeah, Becky, is it also in their backup here?
Oh, yeah.
It should be in your section where you were gonna address it, in your,
Yeah.
the attorney section, in your binder.
So you see that at the bottom of the first page, top of the next page. So first, prepare a permit application. Number two, once you get an app, you gotta negotiate your wetland mitigation. As I've told you all before, you know, we're going to, our number one goal is to convince the district to, if you leave the reservoir alone, it will naturally revegetate with wetland vegetation. There may be a few areas that we will have to regrade, you know, where there's trails going through. We'll have to regrade some of that, but I wouldn't agree to doing any kind of planting, which is what you typically do for mitigation, because it's a reservoir. And I was talking to Chris earlier today, you know, you get a wet season, you know, you could kill all the plants. It's very hard when you're doing wetland planting to make sure they live long term. So, you know, that's the second part is negotiating all that, and they'll have to be monitoring. Even if they let us allow that area to revegetate naturally, we're gonna have to submit quarterly monitoring reports with photographs, transects showing that wetland vegetation is actually coming in and growing back, not invasive species, but actual wetland vegetation. The next one is what's called prepare UMAM sheets. So UMAM is an acronym. It's Uniform Mitigation Assessment Methodology. And it is a methodology that's adopted by law, where environmental consultants, we have to measure the extent of the wetland impacts, and then we have to measure how much wetland mitigation we have to develop to offset the impacts. Just to make it really simple, you impact a 1 acre wetland, you gotta create a 1 acre wetland to offset it. That's called mitigation. So we have to do that. Item number 4 is, you know, the district has told us in our discussions with them, we work everything out with you. We want you to provide us assurance that this situation is not going to happen again in the future. So, you know, it's never going to make sense for us to have 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week security to keep people out of the wetland areas. It's too big of an area. Because it's not a matter of security at the gate, it's security roving the 2,000-acre reservoir. That's just not realistic. So what we said we would do instead is put up signs saying, you know, caution, you know, wetland area protected by state law, stay out. We would, in some areas where there's like, you can see where there's maybe a natural trail leading into the wetlands, we maybe create some barriers, a berm, a fence, signage. We can't fence all the wetlands because that would cost $1 zillion. But in certain key areas that receive heavily used trails, that's where you would put the fencing. We'd even put some kiosks, you know, the value of wetlands, why you should protect wetlands and how they're important for species habitat and wetland recharge and all that. But we have to come up with, you know, talking about it is easy, coming up with a written plan. Exactly where are you going to do this? How many signs? 10 signs? 120 signs? Where are you going to put the signs? How big the signs are going to be? The fencing? Is it a 100-foot strip? Is it a 500-foot strip? A all of this has to be worked out. We have to come up with a plan, our consultants draft it, and then we have to sell that plan to the district. So that's item number 4. And number 5 is just, we're gonna have a lot of meetings with the district once we file the permit application. So that's the proposal. As I said, we're gonna do it in 2 pieces. I misspoke. The first piece is not to exceed amount of $5,000. And then after that, they're gonna give us a flat fee proposal. And you have any questions?
Yes, how much do you think this project is gonna estimate?
Consulting fees or?
Yeah, the consulting fee.
At least 50,000. You know, the work part of it is gonna be the expensive part. And that's gonna be in the hundreds of thousands.
How many acres is usable land that they're allowed to use?
So the
It's not
first,
2,000, is it?
yeah, the first consultant we hired did some field work, and he, I don't have the map with me.
He estimated about 400 acres, a little less than 400 acres, with the condition of mitigation between 200 and something and 100 and something.
That's with the buffer zone included?
No.
Without the buffer zone?
Yeah, so, Chris, there were 2 upland areas. Unfortunately, there's a little pinch point
Yeah.
between the, it's less than an acre. If we could impact that little pinch point, those wetlands, then we could connect the 2 big upland areas.
So that'll take mitigation for that, right?
We have to provide mitigation for that.
So, my question is, off of your memory, when was the reservoir closed?
2 years ago.
It was closed about a year and a half, almost 2 years.
2 years.
It was in the middle of
2021.
21.
And how many, from any of the board members, have we had any community members, edge their concern about reopening it?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Our residents coming to me over here all the time. And we had a bunch of residents coming over here a while back and asking for permission to reopen.
Okay.
That was about 6 months ago. We had a bunch of residents coming up here. One night, asking for this to reopen. 6 months.
Well, it was when we were going to start talking about the reservoir again. It was like 20 something, 25.
Yeah, that was
25
about.
residents that came in and urged their concern regarding reopening the reservoir?
Yeah, but
Well, most of them was for the reservoir, but only 1 or 2 speak about it because it was on behalf of everybody.
Okay.
but at least a lot of them things, talk to me and ask me when we're gonna help them.
Do we have a motion?
I have a couple more questions.
Go ahead.
John, so the work that Bear Claws did, are they gonna consider any of that, or are
Yes.
they gonna do their new study without it?
I sent it all to them. I mean, Bear Claws did some important work. They didn't do a lot of work.
Yeah. Like $10,000
And they have-
worth?
They haven't. No, about 5.
All 5?
Wasn't there a deposit that was given to him?
25.
How much money have we put into aspects of trying to reopen the reservoir?
Just 5,000?
A bazillion hours of discussion, hundreds of hours of my time, but no, we haven't spent
Really nothing.
nothing.
Any other questions for any of the other supervisors?
You think it'd be good if we put a cap on this, as far as we don't reach a certain limit. Instead of just, we don't wanna let this just take off and end up being something, because, you know, some of these
No.
consultants, they'll run up a bill if you allow them
No,
to.
that's why we're gonna do it in 2 steps. Step 1 is gonna be time and materials, where they come back to us with a detailed scope and a flat fee. I wouldn't do it any other way. They have assured me that that phase 1 will be less than $5,000. You know, in other words, you know, when you ask someone to fix a car, until they get under the hood, they can give you an estimate, but it's not very useful. They've got to get under the hood. In this case, they've got to go out there and see what's occurring.
Now, here's a question that I have for you, John. I spoke with a couple of people in environment protection, and they told us that if we were to put signage in the reservoir, and a couple other aspects, it will consider the reservoir to be recoded as a recreational area, because it's going to also be used for recreational use. Now, is that in our case something that will happen?
No,
No.
signage has nothing to do with it. So it's public land.
Okay.
It already is used for recreation. You can't, and this is not just us. Whenever you buy land in Florida, you have to have a good reason why you don't allow public recreation. Land that's kept in its natural state, there's several laws that say you should encourage public recreation.
Okay. So in a double-sided sword kind of aspect is what I'm trying to ask is, if we do invest the money that is suggested into moving forward, and then hundreds to thousands more into it, and the state comes to us and say, well, now it's recreation, requires more rules and regulations and laws because of its use, then we're back at square one, because now we have to comply to those new rules and regulations. So, from your personal experience on a legal aspect, do you think it is in Central County's measures to move in that direction and reopening it again?
Yeah, so the answer to that question isn't really legal, it's policy, which is your area of expertise. So the truth is, if we go through this process, we get a permit, we do the mitigation, we set up the signage, the fencing, we regrade the trails in the wetlands, we create new trails in the uplands. We're forever going to be responsible for enforcing that. Will that be a problem in the future? I don't know. Possibly. It could be. Will it work? Because we're just going to come up with a plan to put up signs and fences and try to make it easier for people to use the upland trails and make it harder for them to use the wetland trails. Are people going to ignore that? Are they going to shoot the signs and still go through the wetlands, what they call the mud flats, which, when you go ATV, let's face it, that's the fun part, is the mud flats, which is another way of saying wetlands. And are they going to ignore everything, and we're going to be right back to where we started a year or two ago? It's possible.
Okay. So,
That I think the
so
board are going to have to weigh, what the community wants. Is it the majority of the community wants a reservoir with vehicular usage, or does the majority of the community want a reservoir with non-vehicular usage, maybe equestrian? You can create, bungalow parks, little, whatever. That's the hard part, is weighing where the future will look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we went the direction of non-passive, nothing motorized, would we be able to get anything through Greenway Trails? Or would we?
It would be hard because Greenway Trails, because we have a gate.
Okay.
It can't, it's like
the open access.
public roads.
Yeah.
You know, if you go like to a subdivision and there's a gate, it's not a public road on the other side. Because we have a gate, it will never be a public greenway. Nor, I don't think you want it to be either.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, but are there monies out there for, conservation? Yeah, there's money out
May I
there.
say something, Mr. Chairman?
Go.
I want to express myself on this behalf. I spoke before. The tradition of Montura is that we have the reservoir for uses of ATVs and the pickup trucks and the vehicles and the was recreational. Okay, and that was very attractive to the residents of Montura that like to go in there and have a good time, because here in Montura we don't have nothing else. You care for the young people of Montura a lot, Mr. Daniel, and the people in Montura love to ride ATVs. And that's the only place that we have to ride ATVs. I used to come to Montura since 1979, like I said many times, and I used to go in there in a pickup truck. And I enjoy going in there, and if we reopen the reservoir, I'm going to buy myself all ATV and get in there, use the ATV, and enjoy myself in there. Okay, I believe that's very important for us. That's tradition. That's part of the culture of being a Montura residents, being a Montureño, being able to go in there and have a good time, which everybody have been here for many years, going there, even though it's that games right now, they used to go in there and have a really good time in there with the family and all that, because I remember. So I would like to continue that tradition, have the reservoir open, so we can enjoy family and go in there and enjoy ourselves, and this will be part of Montura. People can go in there and enjoy the reservoir in family and all that. That's my opinion. That's why I am in favor of the reservoir.
Yes, I got a couple items to bring up to the table. I've been here, prior, and let's say you guys been here a little bit myself in the area. Do we have an idea how many of the family live here on the property that have ATVs? Do we have an idea? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, I know we were supposed to have an open workshop before we voted on moving forward with it, to get a data report to see, all like general population of who votes for us and the landowners, for them to come in and say, hey, I'm in favor of it or I'm not in favor of it. We didn't get that done, so we don't have any of that data, and that's something that I was going to suggest next that we look into.
And the reason I'm bringing that up is because, again, hearsay, I cannot, confirm that. Over the weekend, a lot of, travelers or even landlord that doesn't live here in the area, come with ATV, use it, don't use it, destroy it, not don't destroy it. Those really, I think, again, correct me if I'm wrong, are the really that make it the most damage to the wetlands. If we can control that or find out, how we can, put a stop to that, which is going to be hard, I understand that. Either fine or whatever be the case, I think we can, reduce some of this cost that we incurred into this, because it's a lot of money, it's thousands of dollars to get those trails open, where if we spend the money for somebody else that, yeah, they own the land over here, but they're not here all the time, to come on the weekend and destroy it, I think that we throw money down the drain.
Yeah, and another thing that I think we can benefit and utilize a lot of this money elsewhere is,
Agreed.
getting a lobbyist, the biggest thing that I know we pushed and we got an attorney general letter is to try to get it legal for us to make the authority to allow them to drive, the golf carts and stuff on the roads. And I think that would be money well spent. Because this is, I feel like it's a gamble. Yeah, let's say we go through all this and we spend close to $1 million, and we have some people who just own land and they start wrecking stuff, shooting down signs, and we get another pop-up visit from the district, and they say, well, now you're gonna be fined $100 and something thousand. So it's that seesaw effect of what waivers higher, and that do majority of the citizens want it, or is it more of a group that states that they want it, but it's really not beneficial for Montclair as a whole. So that's where my opinion is.
Make it from
One second. And my other question is, does the Software Water Management District, can they pitch in any money because this repairs? Or because we damage that, to be too hard?
Yeah, they're not gonna contribute money to fix the violation.
Okay.
I want to say something.
Chris, did you have anything?
No, I'll let him go first.
Mr. Fumuel, Mr. Daniel, he says that the cost to reopen the reservoir will be up to $1 million. You stated one day there was going to be, I believe, between 150,000 and 200,000.
So let me be clear.
That's more than maybe.
Yeah. I do not know how much it's gonna cost because the decision isn't up to me. It's up to the Water Management District. I can give you a ballpark estimate that it's gonna cost, I don't think it's gonna cost $1 million, but it's gonna cost several $100,000.
Yeah, so
But could I be wrong? It's possible. We're gonna fight to keep that number low. But, when you deal with government, sometimes you don't know where.
But I just want to mention because Daniel says 1 million, we stated approximately 200,000, so that's a big difference.
Chris? Do we? So are we
I have a
gonna?
question on you.
Go ahead.
Primero, you said the fencing and the signage and we had to make the trails and all that stuff, all that is still on the table in order for us to, or in order for them to open the reservoir? Or the 400 acres?
I mean, is it a requirement that has to be done prior to opening?
No, okay, so when everything started, we went out there with the engineers and all the people from South Florida, with management and the state. The first thing they mentioned was that the first thing we were going to need to do was to separate the wetlands from the uplands with fencing or any type of area. And the other important thing that they wanted to do was for us to create the trails with line road or any base.
Material was there.
Yeah, so I'm asking if that is still on the table?
Yeah, that's part of what I just said before, that we're gonna have to close off the trails in the wetlands, create new trails in the uplands. You can't fence all the wetlands, that's millions of dollars, that's ridiculous. Plus, even the environmentalists don't want you to fence a wetland because many wildlife.
No. What they mentioned is, I'm sorry to go wrong, what they mentioned is for us to fence the uplands. The 400 acres of the uplands so they cannot, so people cannot go
Can't go
into the
past.
wetlands. Not to fence the wetlands are 2,000 acres.
But you can't fence the uplands because most of the reason wetlands for wildlife is habitat.
Right.
So most of the animals eat in the wetlands. They sleep in the uplands. I'm making this very simple, but you can't put a fence. You gotta have both uplands and wetlands. That's-
Well, they were not talking about a chain link fence, they were talking about,
A road fence.
like, when you go to Greenstone, when they fence the park, They
Yeah,
put
rope
the
fence.
poles and
Yeah.
a wire through it. You know,
That's still a lot of fence, but they could, we don't know, because when you ask them, they say, give us a plan.
Yeah, because
We'll look at it.
Flatwoods Enterprise is basically gonna give us an estimate of what it's gonna cost and how much it's gonna be to do the project.
Yeah, and let me,
So
this is what I thought you were asking.
so we're basically gonna pay them 50,000 to tell us how much it's gonna cost to do
No,
nothing there.
no. We're gonna pay them less than 5,000
Okay.
for them to come up with a flat fee proposal to do all of the work. Remember the analogy I gave you, if you say a mechanic, can you fix that red car, the mechanic's gonna say, well, let me look under the hood first, and then I'll tell you. He could listen to the noise, but he's gotta, sometimes you gotta take the car apart to see what's wrong. But, there's two things here. One is, if you today said, we will never allow another human being in the reservoir, we still have to do wetland mitigation. That part is very straightforward. If you say, we also want to let people in the reservoir or motorized vehicles in the future, that's when the fencing, signage, trails, all of that comes into play.
So do you have a motion?
Yes, I put a motion to hire the consultant firm to do the job that they have to do in order to do the paperwork, we can start moving forward and working with the system.
Do we have a second? There's no second. Okay. We're gonna go to item C, discuss and vote on consultant for FDOT grant program. John.
Yeah, Becky brought to my attention this program, SAFE. It's a federal Department of Federal Department of Transportation grant program. It's called New Safe Streets and Roads. And it's $5 billion for regional, local, and tribal projects. I reached out to the individual that is working on our grant. She said that these are federal grants, which is a whole different ballgame. It's much more complicated than state grants, and she doesn't do them. She referred me to someone else, and to go after the grant, this person will require a $25,000 upfront fee, and then they get a percentage of any grant monies they recover. This is from the federal government. So, I don't know if
It's a lot of money.
it's a lot of money, and I don't, this is there's literally hundreds and hundreds of pages of directions on this grant program. You have to develop something called a comprehensive safety plan for the roads. When we solved roads, we said, oh, maybe this, honestly, I don't think this is for really, really rural areas, but really to do a deep dive, we'd have to have somebody who has expertise with these federal grants. I don't know if there's someone at Henry County.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we can look
Those
into
federal grants?
someone else a little cheaper to see if they can help us out with it. Cause I know for a fact that some rural areas, that don't have safety signage, and are having a growing, population, they most likely, get approved and get assistance for the signage in their rural area.
If you, I don't do grants, so I'm sure they exist out there. The only thing I would be able to do is put words in Google.
Yeah, we just have to see if we can find someone cheaper to, put it together for us. See if she knows does she know anyone else that she can refer you, or that's the only
I'll
person?
check with her, see
Yeah.
if there's other names. And I should have told you, and I apologize, I have to leave here at between 9 and 9:15 to go pick up my son at Palm Beach Airport, who's flying in. I think those were my items.
Yep. Anyone have any questions or comments regarding FDOT grant program? No? No comments?
No.
Okay. Section D, discuss and vote on employee salary increase to national wages. Supervisor Santan?
Yes. I tried this before. I brought this up in front of the supervisory board. Approximately, I would say 1 year ago, right, Mr. Meeting?
Yes, sir.
Or 1.5 years ago. And when I made the motion, it didn't pass. I've been trying to give the employees of Central County Water Control District a salary increase for over 1 year because they deserve it, because they work hard, because they are the heart of Central County. Employees of Central County are the heart of Central County, the heart of Montura Ranch. I've been seeing them, as you know, I am a volunteer with the sheriff office. I patrol Montura 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes 4, but at least 2 or 3 times a week. And I patrol the surrounding areas, including Patrol. And I see the employees here working under the rain, working with thunderstorm, and you can say if that is true or not with the radio.
But now we thunderstorm, but
I have seen them. They're working in the reservoir during the hurricane, overtime around the clock, 24 hours, between the snakes, the alligators, and we have a bunch of them. And I believe they're underpaid. I have a paperwork that was given to me, if anybody wants to see it. The national level, how much they made, the equivalent for heavy equipment operator, number 2, which is $25 an hour. Heavy equipment number 1, $20 an hour. And for entry levels, maintenance and labor, right? Everything,
Yeah.
$15 an hour. And I believe all these good employees that we have here, they're underpaid. So I would like to bring all of them to the national level. Okay, so they have family, everything have to happen. I go to Walmart, I used to buy with $200. Now it costs me $350. Yeah. So I believe they deserve to be at the national level. $25 an hour for heavy equipment operator 2, $20 an hour for heavy equipment operator 1, and the entry level for laborers and maintenance, $15 an hour. So that would be the motion.
I have a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
I got a question.
Discussion.
Oh, go ahead.
No, Mr.
No,
Mayor.
go ahead, you start first, go ahead.
I had the opportunity to get to sit down with all the employees of Central County, and as a former employee here, I worked here for 11 years, and I know what it is to, be underpaid for a lot of your skills and stuff. And I do recognize that that the inflation is outrunning the cost of living. It's hard for a lot of people, and I know as I look through a lot of their hourly, they are underpaid. I don't know how we're gonna do it. I think that we should do it. We should do it in a very responsible way. Like when I spoke with the manager, he knows here who needs it, who doesn't. Because if they go straight across the board, even to everybody, there might be some people that might not deserve it. But I believe that'll be the call for the manager.
May I say something?
Hold on, let him finish.
And we do need to take consideration of the budget, where we're at with the budget, because we don't have a lot of money left, so we have to consider all that within it. I'm very much for putting them where they need to be. Now, where that is, I don't know if we should discuss it, and if we have to speak about it today, and then we have to just table it for later on, where we can come to a better understanding. That just what I think where we could look more into it to make sure it's just very fair for them that they get what they deserve.
I would like to say something, Mr. Santiago. I brought this same issue over 1 year ago. And Mr. Mata saying the same thing that you said right now, Mr. Saul. Let's leave it to the market. And no increase has been happening so far. They are still underpaying. I believe we should vote. We should vote. And as I believe, Mr. Mata says to the employee, because I talk to all his employees one-on-one all the time, 2.5 years ago. And Mr. Mata in a meeting said we can get the money that we have. We have 1.6 million. 1,600,000 dollars. See? How much more do we have?
We got, we're done about $1.4 million, and we should consider reserves.
Well, Mr. Mata told the employee we can get it from the reserve. That's what he told them. And I would like to,
I give my treasurer report, I can just say some numbers now.
okay, but still, I would like to make a vote on this. Because all the employees told me that Mr. Salt was in favor, that Danny Santiago was in favor, that Mr. Mata was in favor, I am in favor. I believe you're in favor too, right?
I gotta make a statement.
Go ahead. What?
Listen to Chris on that, over there, Chris. I agree with you, you know, we need to come up with a solution for the increase for the employee. But it has to be across the board, not because you don't show up to work, we're not gonna give you it. So Central County need to have a policy, I don't know if they have it or not, either cost of living and merit increases. I don't know, do we have that on our meeting?
If I may,
Go ahead.
I am 150% agree that our employees are underpaid.
We're not discussing the other pay, we're talking
No,
about.
I know. Just to clarify something Santana says, he did bring to the board some time ago to increase the pay on
Over 1 year.
for the employees. We do have a plan in place where they do get raised on their year evaluation, they get the COLA, and wherever we send them to do certifications and stuff like that, they also get the raise for that.
So we have a policy.
Yes, so what they want, or what they are needing from Central County is to go up to where is more or less nationwide normal salary for the type of work that we do over here.
Okay,
That's what they asking for the award.
okay.
Because, for example, the COLA, depending on your salary, to get to $1, you gotta make 20 something dollars. And on every evaluation, we do raises too. And with the certifications. But, like Chris said, that life is 30% now, and COLA is only 3%, so it's not balancing.
Inflation's outrunning the cost of living.
We need a flood rate. We need a
The inflation is way over, and not only that, forget about the inflation. These employees, they are a great group, and they also save a lot of money to Central County by a lot of different type of jobs that they do, that sometimes are not even on their job description.
Did he answer your
So
question?
they just asking for being, you know,
I don't disagree with you. I mean, I'm 100%, 1,000%, but we need to have a policy that go across the board. And what we need to do is do a workshop to bring up, see where they at, what are the percentage they have, and what we have in the budget to bring it up to that level. I agree with you, they go above and beyond. I've been listening to Santana over here on the rain, on the hurricane, but we have to have an order, a policy in place to get that to that level. So what I suggest to do is just, a workshop, get all employees' salary, hourly rate, the time being with the Central County, and from there we can move forward to get to that level. And remember that Central County is not a city, it's not a state, it's not a village, it's not a town. So we depend for what we get from grant, we depend X amount of dollars.
What it is, we're not a village, we're not a town.
We're nobody.
No, we're a village, no. We are the government. We are the government.
We're a village, or where are we at?
We are the government.
We're not, we just, Sunflower Water District Management, that's what we belong from.
Well, I think your point is, we don't have ad valorem taxation.
I was gonna get to that.
So we have a flat rate. Our budget stays the same every year unless you increase the.
But we have employees that need to have decent salary.
I'm not arguing that.
No, I'm telling you, Moreno.
Okay,
No.
so your motion is to increase the
It's valid,
employee's
but-
salary
Yes,
to
the national level.
the national level. And your amendment, proposal that you want to add to that, motion is before it's executed, we get the data in a workshop,
And do it right away.
No, we have the data here. We have the data here.
okay? And what is,
You wanna see the result?
I sat down, I spoke with every employee here, and they all know, like I told them, they need a raise. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
I don't disagree
about it.
with that.
And it's like Mr. Moreno said, what we wanna make sure is that what we do it right, to where it's good for them.
I wanna do it right.
And,
I wanna do it
okay,
right.
so this is the thing, like I told him, me personally, we might have to have a workshop, sit down, talk about it, figure out what we have, so then we know, we might be able to give them maybe more than what they want.
I
We don't
agree.
know.
So you are against giving them a raise right now?
No. What I'm saying is, let's do a workshop, let's figure out numbers, we can't do stuff just off of a whim.
Okay, so
Let's figure it out, because they might be more underpaid than what we even think. Because I know how many years they've been there, sat down, and and I know, like their certifications and everything. And I'll tell you, some of it is pretty bad that some of these guys are getting paid this. I mean, it really is.
So
And like I shared with them my concern about it, but like I told them too, we need to do something that's fair for them, very good for them. Because if not, what's gonna happen? We give them a raise now, down the road, if cost of living keeps going up, then they say we need another
more,
one.
they need more
So we
money.
need to make sure we do something to at least keep them here, to where in 2 years they're not leaving.
No, but we should give them a raise now to what they should be. And if they need another raise in the future, we give them another raise in the future.
okay, so you're proposing the same thing,
Well, he
Christoph, that
needs
you
to make
want.
a motion if he's gonna.
No,
I'm
he
gonna
has a
make a
motion on the table, but the other supervisors are asking that he revises his motion, that we come to a workshop, do the data,
No.
and then execute.
I will not revise my motion. I make a
That's been
motion.
rejected, so his motion.
I have to do my motion.
Hold up.
My motion is to go with the heavy equipment operator number 2, $25, heavy equipment operator number 1, $20, and entry levels, $15 labor and maintenance. That's my motion.
Do we have any other motions?
No, who's second?
You have a second?
We have a second.
Do we have a second? No, it doesn't.
So does anybody have an alternate motion?
Does anyone have an alternate motion that they'd like to?
I do, let's put a workshop right away. Let's not wait for months, or let's do it right away. So we can come up to an agreement
So
with
next
the,
month's board
the
meeting?
sooner the better. We
Okay,
can come up with that.
so let's,
May I just make
Go
a
ahead.
suggestion? So maybe at next month's meeting, we could start at 6, so that the
we have an hour
employees,
workshop.
and they could participate
That would be
in
great.
that workshop.
Okay.
And something else, I would also ask that the treasurer do what he's here to do, which is you have to give him an opportunity, but to assess the overall financial implication of what Mr. Santana had proposed. And it would be good to give him a little bit of time until the next meeting to be here. Yeah, well, he has other things to say, but.
Also, Mr. Mata will be here too, because he called sick today.
Okay, so go ahead and So your motion is next month, we come in at
At
6,
6,
have a workshop, and then
we
it's
discuss
executed.
the increases for,
Okay.
for me the case.
Do I have a second for that motion?
Second.
Can I make a motion? Comment, Mr. Santiago?
Second.
Wait,
Can I make a comment?
Hold on, let me get through the vote. Second by Chris Self, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Go ahead, now you can make your comment.
The way I see it, this is my personal opinion, I'm always transparent. Some people like it fine, they don't like it fine too. This is giving the runaround the same way that I was giving the runaround 1.5 years ago. And we're still in the same situation, and they have not, I mean, we, as a board, we have not been giving the Central County employees a raise. So I think this is the way I see it, giving the employees the runaround.
So I'd like to make a comment.
That's what I see.
Mr. Santana, the manager has full discretion to give raises to his employees as he seems fit, right? Well, you believe if you want to give them a raise, we don't stop you from giving that.
Right, so, talking about that, the raise that we are talking about
It's different.
is way different than the regular raise.
I completely understand
So,
that.
I do have the power to say that I consider that Arnold can make $25 an hour. I do have that power. But because it's such a big raise, I don't think that I'll be safe if I do that.
Well, I already expressed myself to you within my part. I don't have no problem with that.
Right, and I know that,
Yeah,
and I appreciate it, but you only one.
I know.
I need the 5 board members to be on the same page, so I can make a decision depending on how good they work, or how long they've been, or how reliable they are, all those good things, so I can give them the raise of that level.
Mr. Shaw, if you have no problem with that, why you didn't second me?
We're going to move forward to
Okay,
the
no
manager.
comment.
We're gonna move forward.
Okay.
District managers report.
Yes, sir. We've been working on the roads as much as we can with this rain, not rebuilding roads, but scraping roads, basically. We're still on maintenance on canal number 5. We mowing through Montura. We are working on the watch outs in the canal banks. We sold 24 permits, a total of 17 new, 16. The trash picked up in Montura has been increasing again, especially on tires, semi-truck tires. So, and just so you guys know, every time we dump a 30-yard tire, it's about $1,000. So, it used to be 600, but not anymore.
Inflation.
Inflation, yes. We're still changing a lot of signs in Montura. We are working on the basketball court backboard. We thought it was gonna be kinda a simple task, but we ended up having to fabricate basically new backboard backside. So it's taking a little longer.
The bridge. The
Yes.
bridge.
Well, not only that, it's the entire backside. Easter event was really nice. Thank you for all the board members that went and visited the clubhouse on that day. We have a basketball tournament that it was a failure. Not even one person showed up. So Becky and me, we were talking about it. We're gonna hold on the basketball tournament because lately, for the last 3 or 4, we haven't
He's not player or no?
any participation at all. The soccer guys have been increasing by every tournament, but the basketball is kind of dying. I guess maybe the new generation play soccer.
No, I spoke with, are you done with your report?
And the other thing is, We repainting a lot in the clubhouse, especially inside. It looks really nice. The pool is going on, and we are going through a lot of different things for the summer camp to get everything ready.
Yeah, like I was saying, I spoke with the group that usually puts it together. They knew that the basketball court was getting redone, so they weren't unsure. I didn't have a direct answer to give them at that time. So by the time the tournament had came, they just said they weren't getting. Yeah, it was too late. So I told them hopefully next tournament we can get everyone to come right back out like how we used to. And they said that they are going to come out on that. A question that I have for you. Flacco, is the number 559 people were all the people that attended the Easter event, or was that just the number that we could calculate?
That's the number that actually went through
Through the little gate.
through the gate
Okay.
for the registration, but we were kind of short-staffed, so we have people going crazy everywhere, and I know because I've seen it with my own eyes that some people were going to the pool, and then from the pool they were jumping in the park to the clubhouse. So we think it was anything between 600 to 625.
Yeah, because what I was gonna say was, for the record, the organization that I'm a part of, LaBelle White House, we gave out for free for everyone was digital copy photos with the Easter Bunny, and I thought we had given out 475, but when we looked at the receipt form at the end, we gave out 789 photos, and we only gave one per family. So that was a lot of people who came to the Easter event.
I thank you for that. Thank you very much. People was really happy with the pictures. So. The only thing they were not happy was with the line, but they were really happy.
All right, let's move forward. Any supervisors have any questions for our district manager? No. Okay, let's move forward to our engineers report.
Biggest thing I've got for this month is we did finally get our geotechnical report on the rock pit proposed in the reservoir. Remember, we had University Engineering Sciences go out and do 8 floor boring in an area that we thought might have a decent line rock on it. There's an area about 80 acres in size, and out of the 8 floor borings, there was only one that had hard line rock in it. And that all you're doing is pouring a hole, so it's only representative of where that hole is. There could have been more rock, but you go down 25 feet in any rock, 7 of those holes, it's not likely that you've got 80 acres of rock or a big enough area that would make it viable to line the line rock. The rock itself was found fairly close to the surface, but it was only about 5 feet thick. It doesn't look like that's a good option to pursue line rock, at least that portion of it. Do it further if we want to. It doesn't look like that. Now, there's plenty of good field work there, but
In regards to that, I want to say thank you to Lisa Moreno intervening on that to get us that result real quick. With the
they
company.
were kind of dragging their feet. His phone call sparked it a little bit. It was just a couple of days ago. Even though it wasn't what we went, oh, yeah, at least we got it.
Thank you.
The other thing is we did our annual dike inspection. Really cool. Got it turned in.
Mr. Santiago, can I ask,
Go Go.
The question more to the manager.
Yeah, go.
Mr. Emilio, I forgot, we've been talking about last few days about the meeting. Any information about the meeting?
The meeting,
Yeah.
the guy that sold it to us is waiting for the award.
Board approval?
Yeah, remember you guys talked about it 2 meetings
We
ago?
were supposed to discuss it. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's,
Nobody will put it on the agenda.
that's up to you guys. You guys,
I will put it on the agenda for next month, so we can discuss it because
Okay.
I have a lot of people asking me, are you guys gonna continue doing the building of the roads?
we would love to continue, but we need
I'm gonna
the material.
put it on the agenda, so.
Well, actually, we need the money to
You
get
need money to
material.
buy that car.
We need the money.
We're already way over budget.
Yeah, I know.
Way over.
We always have been, always way over.
All right, let's move, if there's no further questions to our engineer, let's move over to our district treasurer's report. John?
Page one, we show the total disbursements for the month of March, $292,000. The tax receivable,
You reckon?
870 out of the 295. So these are just like highlights, we get into the budget. See the breakdown, the tax is 164,000. More importantly, you see our current tax collections are 337,000 more than the year before due to the tax increase.
So we collect more money this year.
Collect more money, and when we go on to the budget, you'll see that we counted, that extra money in our budget, and we budgeted to pretty much break even. If we go over to page 6, that's the primary document we need to look at. That's basically the expenditures for the month. We're 6 months, on March 31st, we're exactly halfway through the year. So this is 6 months, so it's easy to look at it and say this is half. Okay, so what I'd like to point out here is, like if you look at the top captions, the ones in the middle, like there's actual 6 months ended, and there's the budget 6 months ended, and then there's the variance. So those 3 columns are the year to date, that's half the year. Now if you look down at goes to the bottom, not the very bottom, but the second to the bottom line, it says total expenditures. Okay, so that's what we're working on. Okay. So the actual total expenditures a year, down at the bottom in the middle, is $2,082,000. The budget for 6 months is $1,568,000. So for the first half of the year, we're $513,000 over budget. If you see right cat-a-quarter down there, where you see the $33,094 in brackets, that's our total annual budget that we budgeted to lose that much, and that's a small amount. So basically, we budgeted to break even, but we're already $513,000 to the loss side, over budget. The primary categories, as you know, are the millings and the roads and all that. So that's up towards the top. If you take the 6 months actual, you see that $422,000 number and $337,000. When you add those two together, we've spent $760,000 so far on the roads, which is $565,000 over the budget. The next biggest thing, if you go a little more than halfway down, is the salaries, wages, taxes, insurance. So that's the salaries and the things that go along with it. And those are broken down a few pages later. But if you look at the total salary and all the things that relate to it is $617,000. We budgeted half of our annual budget was $483. Can't read the small numbers. So we're about $134,000 over budget in the personnel category, which is about 28% over. So if you looking at the total picture, we're over budget by 32% for half the year. Now, as far as reserves go, our bank accounts are at about $1.4 million now to the high $1.3 million. But that's not considering any reserves for something going wrong, reserves for disaster, reserves just for cash flow. Yeah,
Right?
2-3 years.
So at this rate, assuming that the district doesn't spend one penny more, it will be bankrupt in 3 years.
And the only way we're going to continue is what everybody doesn't like to hear, but what's coming up in June is you're going to have to raise the taxes if you raise the expenditures, or even if you spend,
Yeah, that's
because you're not going to last but a couple of years in the state of Florida. There's levels where within 2 years we'd be considered troubled and have to report to the governor.
Yeah,
The auditor's coming next month, so he'll be presenting his deal in June. He can talk more about it, but
So, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
just our history is, 9/30/21, we lost $434,000 audited. And September 30/22, the audit's not complete, because we showed a loss of $728,000. And halfway through the year, we're way over budget now, so, June, by June, you are gonna have to decide what to do with taxes.
What? Go ahead.
No, no, let's go, go on.
Well, yeah, that's something that I think was brought up a couple of years ago. That taxes hasn't been increased in 20 years. With the overgrowing population of Monterey,
Sure.
it's inflation. We have to raise it. It's something that has to happen. Anywhere,
Lower
anyone,
inflation, but
yeah,
so much
yeah.
more use of the roads,
Yeah.
so
And
much more.
like I tell a lot of the constituents and community members, anywhere you go, this is actually the cheapest to live,
Right.
especially with taxes. So I tell everybody, I said, if we move our tax bracket to what every other city district has done, yeah, a majority of the taxes stays here, so you get to see a lot of that improvement. But for what Central County Water Control District gets back in taxes per acre is not equivalent to what the city of Cluison, the city of LaBelle, and so on. So we're basically playing catch up, and
Right.
like I tell a lot of the citizens, is we have to look at it in the aspect of where were we before and where we want to go. So seeing the budget the way we're seeing it now, if we don't take action, we just leave it stagnant, there's going to be a lot of things that are not going to happen. We're going to have a lot of unpleased residents, landowners, and then, probably theoretically the loss of the district completely, and then really nothing's going to get done. And that's really all I had to note on that.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't raise salaries, and I'm not saying we shouldn't do the increased millings, but the facts are we're burning our way through the reserves at a pretty high rate.
So Mr. Boyd, how much do we have to, how much do we have to increase the taxes in order to break even?
$50.
More than that.
No, $50.
No, it was estimated
break
last
even,
time
at
75.
least 70.
75.
It was
More like-
75,
To actually break even, probably 100,
yeah,
but 75 would
would be
at least
fair.
minimize the loss.
75 will result in 600,000
Right,
revenue.
600,000, $100 brings in 800,000. 125 brings in almost a
Because what
million.
we raised it, if we calculate going back the 20 years, and let's just say we were to raise it, we would have probably been at the mark that we should have been when we started. Okay, now we're gonna do a $5 to $10 increase.
The thing about, back in the older days, the expenses were so much lower, half the population and everything else. So we had a surplus for quite some time. So that's one of the reasons we didn't raise taxes all that time, is there was money in the bank.
No, and also because they didn't do nothing.
That's
They
true.
didn't do the roads, they didn't clean the canals, they didn't do nothing.
I agree
So
with
we
you.
are doing what we're supposed to do. That's why we need money.
So,
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
I remember last month, or the month prior, when I said we need to increase taxes on, on the area, and everybody opened their eyes like, oh, it was crazy. So that proved, 2 months ago, that, I've seen, the way we're going, and the number doesn't lie. It's black and white, it doesn't, it give you the end result. Now, since we have a fresh board over here, okay, brand new, basically, we need to start working together toward that. Talking to the landowners to make them aware of where they were 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where we at now. Everything evolutionary change drastically as we go. This place cannot stay in limbo since everything is moving forward. If you guys look around in the area, how many for sale signs going up every day? I see 1 or 2 in different lots. That means this area is moving, and it's the only place cheaper than this area, by the way. I'm telling you, there's no way to find land like this. So we need to work together. The board need to work together toward the goal. Like I say, either Avalon taxes, city, town, village, whatever we want to call it. They have that on the long run. And of course, that doesn't happen overnight, it's gonna take some time, but we need to start working toward that, okay? And try to not to be on this predicament where we have to be begging for money, basically, knowing that Henry County is keeping most of the money on their side. That's where I like to see the board, the 5 of us, working together toward that goal.
Chris?
yeah, so one of the things that I want to talk about is that the first thing that everybody goes towards is raising the taxes, but we never get back to the thing of, let's look at the budget, let's see what we're overdrafted and what's unfavorable. Let's start at the budget and try to lower it down to where, because to me personally, I've lived there my whole life, and the last thing I want to see is for the community members to keep getting taxed. Because every time the board, or however, then when I say board, manager, whatever, whenever there's an excess of spending, then the first thing is, let's make the community members pay for it. I understand that maybe the taxes, if there was more money going towards taxes, we could do a little bit more, but we don't need to create more hardship for the people here, because the same hardship that everybody here is going through, we're going through. And I don't think taxing is going to be the way to go. If we go back to the budget, let's look at where, you could line out where your unfavorables are. We need to figure it out. It's like with the overtime. The overtime, let's figure out a way, where do we put the overtime? As necessary, or, so during hurricane season, we know we need that. They need overtime. That's a no-brainer. For the events, we need that. Anything extra, we're gonna have to cut it out, because the employees, they want a raise, and we're all for it, but we're gonna have to find the money for it, and that's what I'm saying. Somewhere we're gonna have to cut. That's why I made a proposal for the reservoir. The $45,000. It's a little drop of water in the bucket, but it's $45,000.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, and that's just my opinion on this. Let's start at the budget before we even talk about raising taxes, and see what we could do more proactive and stuff. And right now we're just being reactive. Like, we need to do something now and tax them, but I don't think that's.
Yeah,
Me too.
yeah, when I first got on here, we were paying 36,000 a month for the trash.
Yep.
And when I had a finance firm look into some things about our budget, I found out that basically cutting what we call core projects or core things, they always have a negative outcome. What's the negative outcome? We closed the public dumping because it charged us $36,000 a month, and now we have where they dump all around Montoro. It came looped around where I had a whole investigation done about trash cans that were purchased with taxpayers' money in a letter from Hendry County through Waste Management because they have our contract. And when I spoke with their director, he said that the trash cans that were bought where Hendry County was responsible for illustrating those trash cans out. No one here in Montoro received a trash can. That was number one, but we all pay that in our taxes. Number two was after that we had done that, Waste Connection says in their contract, in the fine print, that Montoro will get once a month bulk pickup. They never, from raise of hands, they don't come out here to do bulk pickup. If you call them and put a ticket in, they sometimes show up, they sometimes don't. So it came into the aspect, and I tell all the residents, and I tell everybody who says, oh, why do we keep raising taxes? It's not the sense of cutting corners and let's not spend this, let's not do this. It's more so if we take certain things away that help run Montoro, then we're biting ourselves in the neck. Because if we say, hey, as a board, that we need to dive down and say, hey, Hendry County, we pay this, and this, we don't get nothing back, then that's what we have to do. And I tell everybody, even the board numerous times, I have said we have to take this fight. It's more than just us. It's the citizens and residents. We have to take this fight to Hendry County. We pay in taxes, you pay for mosquito. You pay for emergency equipment, which includes our volunteer fire department. We pay for Hendry County Sheriff's Office, which provides the sheriff response. We pay for recreational. In any of those categories, Montoro has never, and I can bring next meeting a packet. Response time here in Montoro is low for law enforcement, but we pay that in our taxes. Recreational, the Hendry County Board of Commissioners has not given, since I've been up here, they have not given $1 towards any recreational thing here in Montoro, but we pay that in our taxes. Waste Connections, we as a board, prior to you getting up here, have sent letters, commendations to Hendry County Board of Commissioners. We don't want to continue with Waste Connections. They're damaging our roads. They don't do what they say they're going to do in their contract. You know what the county commissioner said? Well, it's the cheapest option, we're gonna go with that. So for us to say we're gonna raise taxes is a way of us saying, when we do as a community, minus of us being up here, we all come together and say, look, we're tired of being abused, we want our money back. The county's gonna tell us, okay, if you want it back, here it goes, now how you're gonna illustrate with it. So what the board has done is, when we have raised taxes, we have more employees, and I have heard you say this, than has ever been here at Central County. And many citizens across the spectrum, yes, they want to know why the taxes is being raised, and I can name a couple that don't complain about the taxes being raised. They want to know where is it going and why they're paying them. And when we tell them, come to Central County, I'll show you why you pay so much in taxes and what really stays here. A lot of them really don't complain. A lot of them want their money back from Hendry County. And from my personal experience and from me being here and doing certain things, if we stop raising taxes, we're gonna have more problems than we already have. That's just my personal opinion. I think, yes, we need to find that middle ground of not raising taxes, and I think eventually we'll get there.
Yeah.
But we also need to find that place of, hey, we've been abused, and since I've been here since 2017, I can tell everybody, there's money that I know for sure that the county gets that could go into our volunteer fire department, can go into having an ambulance here, just stationed here, having deputies here, and this being their own district. But as we all know, it doesn't happen. It goes elsewhere. I have put up fights, I have put up letters, I have publicly went and bashed elected officials, and when we get to that point is when we start to see reaction and things starting to change. But if we simply say, hey citizens, we're not going to tax you anymore because it's too much, then we're basically telling the citizens, hey, we're sorry, we're not going to do nothing. And that's where many of the people that support me and many of the people that I advocate for is they want things to happen and they want to know where their taxes is going, but as well as they want to see a change, a positive change here in Monterey. And that's all I'm saying. I get it. Yes, we can't keep every year 75, 75, 75. Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. But I think it needs to come to a point where we stand together, not divided, and say, look, enough is enough, Hendry County. We've been pushed too long, and it stops here. But I'm only one. It takes us, and it takes all of them to do it too.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. But in-house, we still need to fix stuff. So one of the things that I know where we can save money, so I know that there's a dirt income that we get. It's $100 a load. How much? So you got to take what you're paying the employee per hour, the use of the equipment, not just one. It's what do you use? You use how many dump trucks for the load? Use 3. One, the rubber tire excavator, or the track.
The truck.
Okay, so if you break that down price-wise, the $100 load is good for the community, but what does it cost us, realistically, factually, to do that? It might be $300, but we're selling it for $100. We're losing $200 per load. It might be less, but I just don't see how the $100 a load is financially better for us, for the community member. Don't get me wrong, that's a great benefit for them, but it's eating away at our operation, your operation, your fuel, your hourly for your employees and stuff. And that's one of the things that we need to consider cutting off. Because right now we're getting $18,700. That's where we're at right now on what we brought in. But
No, we are up to 36,000. That was the last.
March 31st.
18,700.
That's
March
for the
31st.
month.
Some of that may be in the miscellaneous income below there.
Yeah. So
Still.
okay, so let's say it's 30. But even if you do that per load, $100, it doesn't equal out because Central County is paying more to take it out, move it, and send it than what's coming in. So it's like you're spending $300 to get $100, so you're losing $200. And it might be $100, but any loss that we're taking, we
Not
can't.
really. When we calculated everything for the board to make that decision, it was kind of 50-50. Kind of. Between the diesel and the pay.
So what
The
are we
diesel
making?
was lower back then. So I would say right now we're getting about 65.
65%.
We're getting 25.
% out of 100 back profit.
Yes.
We can't make a profit. We gotta bear even.
And the decision for that.
So probably what you're insisting is that we reevaluate that price.
No.
What are you inquiring?
Well, maybe we can.
The actual decision for $100 was mainly to help the community, not to get tons of profit back.
Right.
Just to help the community.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process to get paid
Yeah.
for,
Yeah.
Well, we can't.
No, I understand that, but the thing is that we have, our main thing is roads, drainage, and recreation. And I understand that there's the deal with the dirt, they want to set to employees, but we need to put our employees where they need to be. Roads and drainage. We have tons of ditches left to do. Roads, we're out of money right now. So, it just, the sand sell, it really seems like we're losing out, because I don't know anybody that sell a load of dirt for $100.
no, everybody.
Because even
sells for a lot of more
whenever
than
Rick
$100.
Ortiz had his pit back there years ago, he was selling his for $80, and we're still selling at $100 today. So we're
Well, like I
we're
said,
definitely losing.
It was more to help the community,
I understand
not
that.
to bring profit in.
No, I know, but
I don't think. Sorry to cut you off, Chris. I don't think what Chris is saying is to make a profit. I think he's saying that we're not cutting even.
It's costing us.
We're costing more money to deliver and provide them with the dirt than we are coming even on the spectrum. So probably like how he suggested, it probably costs us $300 to deliver after digging it out, and everything, and we're only getting back $100. So I think what he's recommending is, you know, we can put that on the next meeting, we reevaluate that price, we get the data, how much it is in man, labor, diesel, and the equipment, plus the material, to see if we're charging a fair price. Let's say, it's a fair price around the spectrum, just to cut even. We can't make a profit, but we're just making sure that what it costs to deliver it is what it costs to pay for it.
Make it a minute. The amount that Mr. Self say is correct, you say no. You said we making about 25% profit.
$25.
Yeah, kind of.
So the amount that he's stating is wrong. Of the 100,
Well, no, it's not that it's wrong, he's just throwing a number. Well, he's just trying to explain that we might.
no, but he stated that it costs us $300 every time
Maybe.
that we
but
deliver.
he's just doing it without,
So he don't know.
like,
He don't.
for
Okay.
example, when they made that decision, I sit down in the office and I calculated the 30% of the drop.
But you said that
the
we
diesel,
make,
this
you
and
said that we make $25 in every truck that we sell.
More or less.
So I just wanted that to be on the record, so people don't misunderstand.
Yes, let's get,
But he's saying that we are $200
thank you,
losing
Santana.
money
We'll-
in every truckload.
We'll pick it up on your supervisor's report. Let's continue. John Boy, is that everything on your report? Okay. Let's move forward with D, District Attorney's report.
Yeah. As usual, most of my items are on the agenda, but just real quick, our consultant on the grant, Aaron Beatty, and I have been we've been talking to the Appropriations Committee. There are 6 people on that committee that the grant has to be approved by. We called every one of them. We didn't get through to everyone, but we got through to everyone's staff director to just go over the key points in our grant proposal, so it continues to look amazingly well. Everyone we talked to has looked at our application and says, you're at the top of the list, which I still can't believe it. I'll believe it when I get the money, but, just with everything else we're talking about, this would help relieve some of the pressure on the budget. The other things I've already talked about, the interviewing the consulting firms for the reservoir, the FDOT grant program, and next month I'm going to bring to you the Attorney General opinion letter that Chris Self asked for. I gave him a draft. I'm asking him to look at it, and when I get comments from him next month, I'll bring back the final for you to review and approve.
Okay.
And that's it.
Alrighty, any supervisors have any questions for our district attorney? Alright, we're gonna move forward into Board of Supervisors report. Board member Chris Self, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I don't know if y'all received an email from Oscar about his culvert. Anybody here used it?
Yes, I believe it.
Yeah. So I reached out to Oscar and I spoke to him about the situation with his culvert, that it had to be removed and replaced and stuff. One of the questions I wanted to ask, I guess would be more for the engineer. And so if we have a grandfathered in pipe, and let's say that everything's well with it, there's really nothing wrong with it, will there be any reason for us to have to make a landowner move their pipe? Because I think the issue that he had with his was that it was kind of close. It was like 12 foot from the property line, but it was permitted back in '97, so it's an old culvert. It was 18 inches in diameter. It's galvanized, and it might have been 22 feet, 20 something feet, not the 30. But he ended up having to move his culvert more away, the 25 feet. So he would like to, because what he did, he ended up paving it. So he basically has a parking lot there, but no entry to it now because it had to get moved over. So he was wanting to put the culvert back originally where it was. And my question is there any reason why the 12 foot, would it change anything as far as the conveyance of the water? Is there a reason why you wouldn't want it, I know you don't want it exactly on the property line, but would 12 feet mess with anything? Is that something that we ask for, or is it something that the county makes us abide by?
That's what the driveway, permits have always been, as far as I know, the setback and then the length has been 30 feet.
Cause I
All right.
remember that it used to be 20, and then somewhere down the line, Hendry County, I think, changed it to 30, and then it was revised, and, cause I remember what we was doing here whenever I worked here, everybody with 20 was okay, and then the county, they wanted anything new to be 30. And it could be HDPE, it could be, yeah.
That'd be something for the board, I think.
Yeah, I think what happened in his case was the board was given, we were starting to work on the roads, and then there was a project that I suggested we move forward with, especially to help alleviate a lot of the water flow, because we had another community member who came in here and voiced his opinion regarding his culvert. From that point, I reached out to Lehigh Acres and a couple other water districts that dealt with culvert issues, and I asked them, what is something that you recommend we do in our aspect, that if we need a tweak, we can tweak, depending on that basis. And what I suggested, and what the majority of the board was, we move forward in every culvert that all throughout Montura go by the same requirements. And from reviewing the notes and getting some information from the office, from what I can see was, in our policy, it states that if your culvert's not up to code, it's not up to par, it'll have to be removed if there's any new dwelling or anything pertaining being put on the home, on the property. Reviewed the notes and the emails, and to my knowledge, it seems that the people who had installed his home were following the policies and procedures of Central County as well as Hendry County. When we move that, because our policies and procedures is straightforward through everyone, we do have some case-by-case basis where some of the culverts are really right there at the edge where we have to analyze it by that case. But in his case, the culvert was one out of code from, what was the latest file that I asked for pertaining the culvert? What, it was 2000 and...
Oh, so we have records in the office from all files that it actually never was 20 feet long. It's always been 30 feet.
So when the policy was drafted from that point onward, any new dwelling or anything that's going into the home before the final approval, the culvert has to be brought up to code. So I think he had emailed to see if he can get approval to have the home installed, and the office advised him you can use the old culvert to have the home installed, but once the home is installed, the culvert will have to be brought up to code. And I think the contractor that had put had installed the home had also brought the culvert up to code. From the pictures and from driving there, you can see that there was a paved driveway originally over the old pre-existing culvert, and when they put it to code in the way it needed to be, that driveway is no longer aligned. And I think he mentioned that he wanted it to be repaved by the contractor because he wanted it to be relocated in the original location where the other non-approved culvert was. I know that the board had agreed because within our legal parameters, anything pertaining water, swell for Central County, and that's one of it. And like I told the board, and I told the citizens that board meeting, it will happen where we're gonna have an incident where people are saying their culvert was here for so many years, but we have to be straightforward along the spectrum, because he's not gonna be the first and he's not gonna be the last culvert that we're gonna have that people are gonna want it to be placed where it was. Because driving around Montura, as well as we all know, there's some culverts that when we get there, they're gonna have to be ripped out and relocated, and you have people with beautiful fences and all these nice things there, and those culverts won't pass inspection. So that's really what it was. His culvert didn't pass inspection after the policy and procedure that was in place, so that's why the culvert was relocated.
We just did one yesterday, the lady was mad and everything, because it's kind of his case, not Reveal, Florida, but it was something else over here in a hunting club, and they, not to us, but the company who was doing it said, well, how am I supposed to get in my property now? And, you know, what happened with that particular hunting club is he used to have a cover that was actually over his fence line by 2 feet.
So it was over into the neighbor and
Over into the fence. So, yeah, so, I mean, you know, when I went over there, the lady said, well, we can call it, whatever, whatever. I said, listen, that's not the point. The point is that you have the new one now because they did the new one. So, you can't just keep this one over here. You need to take it out. And she's not the only one, he's not the only one. Almost every time for the last few months, we have somebody bringing a dwelling. The permit is actually, because if it's existing, it's $75, as long as it's being permitted before. So every time we go there, the permit is out of code because it's 20 feet long, or 21. And that's the problem. Now, that was a decision that the board made.
And the biggest reason why everything has to be straightforward from the spectrum is because when we do start the swell project, we're gonna go from one point to the other with the elevation and cut it straight across. So we don't want to backtrack and say, now this culvert needs to be adjusted, this culvert needs to be switched. As long as all the culverts are to the policy, to code, to the elevation, the way they need to be, when we go to cut the swell, no culverts will be touched. Because all pre-existing culverts that are still here, let's say if we were just, this is the best way to explain it. If we were to start the culvert, the swell project now, and we go on one road and there's 4 new homes on that road with 4 new culverts, and we start to cut it, we know where the problem is. And theoretically, if the culvert was installed correctly with the right elevation, then that culvert is not touched because that house is already pre-existing. So the water should flow. Now, we did say that we are going to have case-to-case basis where when we do that, that one culvert, let's say, is clogged up or not to the right elevation or not right to the right code, then that's when that culvert will be brought up to the board to make a case-by-case decision on what should happen. But cases for our community member here is a lot different than that case. I think those culverts that when we do get there, that there's no there's no new home, there's no, the culvert has been there for years and it's not required to be moved by policy, then that's when we bring it to a case by case. But because it states in our policy any new culverts that need to be brought up to code because of a new dwelling or such, then that's the reason. It's just to keep it straight across the spectrum.
yeah, and I'm just trying to understand that if the culvert, I understand that they have policies and stuff, but if I know they're putting in a new dwelling, but if the culvert is fine and everything.
And don't get me wrong, it's not his fault either.
Yeah.
At all.
Somebody back in the years approved that
Because
cover,
I seen that it was approved
and
and inspected and passed and.
where it wasn't supposed to pass.
Yeah.
One because it was 20 and second because it was 12 feet away from the fence. No, is that our fault? No. It was done before, like, I don't know, thousands of covers because most of them are 20 feet. So on that part, it's not his fault.
Right.
He wasn't supposed to pass from the very beginning.
Yeah, because I did see that there's some other houses that was rebuilt from Florida,
Right.
and they had to bring theirs up to code. Do you know anything? Did they bring theirs up to code, or you're not?
Yes, they did.
Everybody can't.
And a lot of them, just so you know, like everywhere, what people do, and I can take you to some examples so you can see. People, we go to any property, right? There's an existing. They do the fence illegally, because they don't have the permit yet for that cover. It's a pre-existing from, I don't know, 30 years ago. So they do their fence, the gate is right in front of that not permitted or illegal cover. Once we go there, once they wanna start doing something, we go there and says, you gotta take it out. It's gotta be this, and this. Oh, but what about my fence? Look, I'm sorry, you should ask first.
Yeah.
So they do that, they take it out, they put it where it's supposed to be, then the gate is close to the property line, and the cover is 25 feet away.
Yeah.
Half of the cover only cover the gate, right? We go there, it's perfect, no problem, I pass inspection. 3 months later, you go there, and they are
Yeah.
in front of the gate.
Yeah.
So, do we have control over that? Might be, we can start sending letters everywhere. You know, because there's a lot of them that we know it was not there, it was moved 3 feet to get it back in front of the gate.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah, I get it.
it's a,
Yeah, because I see a lot of them through Montour that they're right on the property line. Tons of them, like on coming around Lindero, I've seen, I think it's like 2 or 3
there's
today.
still a lot of them in the property. If you drove to Quebrada, that's a perfect example. There's a white fence on the right, on the left side,
Yeah.
and that guy raised hell.
Mhm.
You know, look, I'm sorry, it's not our fault. It might be not your fault.
Mhm.
It might be your fault because you didn't, you know.
Yeah.
But now you have to move it.
Yeah.
Oh, but what about my gate? Well, you gotta move the gate. He says, okay. After he passed inspection, he went and put another 10 feet. So now you have 15 feet in front of the fence
Yeah.
and 10 feet in front of the gate.
Yeah. What's the minimum from property line to where the amount that your cover has to be invert?
What's that mean?
The maximum. So from your property line to where your culvert is, what's
It's 25 feet.
25?
25 feet, yes.
And there has been people who have been approved, their culverts have been approved, and because they have the machinery, they move their culvert. And that's why we drafted the policy to protect Central County when we do start cutting swells, that if we do have a culvert that was approved by us but relocated or removed, we are in our parameters of moving it to where it was approved to be so that the water can flow. Because the biggest thing for us was, let's say, you know, we get the grant to do all of the swells, to help cut every single swell. We're gonna have, and I know for sure, you're gonna have some people whose culverts that are not in the right location. And we're going to have to cough up that cost. Why? Because that's a culvert that's been there for decades. There's no need for it to be moved. We have to do that. Now, there's going to be culverts where they're coming in with a new home, so they're going to have to put it up to par. Why? Because they're coming into the new home. And that's just the aspect of it. It's just to protect Central County in the long term, to telling everybody from that date forward, every culvert is going to be this way, and there's no exceptions. So that when we do start this, the cost of us having to fix these culverts to code is not so much heavy on us.
Right.
So that's why we did it that way. And you know, I seen it. It's a beautiful driveway, you know. But I said it's gonna happen. I can bring the data from all these other districts that have done it, where they had concrete driveways, and they went right in, tore them up, and put the culverts where they needed to be.
So on the financial aspect of it, let's say, so for Bennett, let's say if the culvert was a little bit closer, does that in any way, shape, or form hinder the conveyance of water? No. Cause see, what I'm trying to more get at is like more being proactive instead of reactive, because as you said, whenever you start doing all these ditches, let's say that you go down a road and there's a ton of them, let's say they're the right size, they're the right everything, but they're on the corner of the property. It would be financially for Central County, if it doesn't hinder the conveyance of the water, it doesn't change any aspect of it, and let's say if it's just 10 foot, says look, your pipe is right diameter, it's too close to your property line, add 10 feet to it and we'll call it a day. I think that will be better for us to do to the community. Financially, it will be cheaper for us to do that. And then if it's just repair the swell, then we can repair the swell. Because we have, I don't know, we have the power to change that to say if it's not hindering the conveyance of the water. Apparently you don't want nothing directly on the property line, because if two of the people put them together, then you're gonna have an issue. But if there is a space big enough to where it could be clean, I think that that's something more proactive that we should be doing. And then it goes back to the thing, like I said, whenever we're cleaning the ditches, it'll be cheaper. Because when you have to rip out all them culverts, you're gonna be a lot of mad people. Financially, it's gonna be a burden for some people. So I think if
Well, we already
Well,
talked
on
about that,
that
yeah,
aspect-
we're putting it, so, let's say we're going down this road and we have to speed this up. Let's say we're going down this road and there's one culvert we have to change. We're going to change it. And there was a system that was drafted by John Fermero to help them with the cost of it. Because I think if the pipe is still good and the pipe is up to code and the pipe is usable, it'll be reutilized. And stuff like that to help cough down on the price of the cost of it.
Yeah.
So there was a couple things in there to help alleviate the cost of the culvert, so it's not just thrown on the resident.
Right.
And that's just to help us keep it clear around the spectrum. But it's not in my opinion. It's not in no aspect of doing it like this. We just have this is this is how it should be, this is how we're gonna go around, with it. And like I said, we'll probably, and we have had it where it is a case by case basis, but the reason why the policy was put in place that way was to help assure all of the residents and all of the new residents and landowners coming in, because of how fast of a growth Montour is going. We didn't want to dive down every board meeting. We have 20 to 10, hey, we're talking about culverts now, for a whole, 3 hours. Should we do this? Should we do that? It was just a fair spectrum across. And if there were problems that came across, then we would analyze it like how we are doing now. So that's really what happened. The policy was put in place, the policy was executed,
Right.
and the homeowner was wondering if it can be put back to its original location.
Yeah, so the diameter was the right size.
Not that I think of.
Was it 18
No, it was 21 something by 14.
by 14? So it's undersized.
Yes.
But its conveyance capacity is a function of the invert elevation. You can have a 6-foot wide culvert. It's not at the right elevation, it doesn't.
Well, that's the thing, because if the thing is like, that's why I go back to the conveyance. So let's say if it's a little bit undersized, 4 inches, but let's say the length is off a little bit. It's what it is to avoid these type of things with the community. So if, let's say the length would have been the problem. Let's say it's like, okay, it's a little bit close to the property line, but it doesn't bother anybody. What's the least invasive thing we could do for both sides? Could we just add the 10 foot and it says, hey, you got 30? It's to try to alleviate some of that stuff to where we don't have lots of these problems,
That's actually a decision for you guys.
Right.
Whatever decisions you make,
Yeah.
we just gotta make sure it's
clear.
for everybody.
Consistent.
Anything else,
You know.
Chris? Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. We're gonna move on to Santana, your report.
My report, I have no report tonight.
Okay. Go ahead.
I do. I just wanna, make a couple of statements, and I think I stressed that earlier today, that the, board that we have in place right now is very, energetic to move forward with this community, toward the future, and we have to work together. So, wanna make sure, that, we can disagree, but at the same time, at the end of the meeting, we can, live here and put together, move forward, for whatever decision we made. In regard to the cover, we should be uniform. If you look at one street, and I understand, we can make a section for some of them, but if we start making one now and another one in 6 months, by the time we get done with this city, it's gonna be all over the place. We should stay uniform as close as we can without making any, crazy, looks on the property. That's, my report for the day.
Okay. I just wanna, just for the record, there has been some discussion, brought to my attention from numerous amount of community members regarding the reservoir, and that I want the board to really dive down and look into it, because some of them have been here for years and some of them are new. And some of them say that they feel that their tax money should go into something like the clubhouse, bringing more, like an after-school program. All of that money could be utilized there, or to renovating and modernizing the clubhouse for it to become a storm shelter and so on. They feel as if the reservoir has been closed for so long. They have the Redneck Yacht Club. They have many other areas people can go to, four-wheeler and dirt bike, and so on. And some of the other concerns that were brought to my attention, and I stand by it as well. We put up close to $10,000 in new signs every month, roughly, every month or every other month, once a year. How frequent do we have to do such a big order of signs?
Right now, we're up to $42,000.
$42,000 in signs. That's signs that are stop signs, no speed signs, and etc. that are being shot up, that are having to be replaced. And a lot of citizens are urging that, you know, we put signs that tell people, hey, slow down, bus stop, or utilize that money elsewhere, and lights around Montora, making Montora more lit for the kids. Because they feel that us pouring all of that money into the reservoir is a waste, because we're going to have people who don't live here, but one person owns land. They're gonna go in there and demolish it, and then we're back to square one again, and we wasted all of that money doing that process. You know, it's hard to say, you know, for so many years Montora has had it, and now, you know, we're at that table effect of, do we keep it, you know, do we fight to keep it, or what do we do? But from residents saying that there's still people driving dirt bikes, four-wheelers around Montora, riding them on the canals, riding them through the streets. The real question is, if they don't follow the law without using the reservoir, are they going to follow the law when the reservoir is there? So it really comes into that aspect as well. And these are just things that I want to say for the record and bring to everyone's attention, is that you have a majority of people that are not for it because they see it as a waste of money. And they want their tax money to be utilized elsewhere. Because as they say, is that there's a group of people who are hardcore on wanting the reservoir open, but don't do any beneficiary factor to helping grow Montora's community or doing anything positive. So their main objective is, we should get over it, it shouldn't open again, and let's do stuff for Montora that is beneficiary for us as a whole. And that was just what majority of them had to say, and that's from many general voters. And from my personal opinion, I think it's something that we should take a step back from our personal feelings and really dive down and look into on both sides of the fence. Is it really beneficiary for us to do that? Or is it more cost efficient for us to utilize that money elsewhere and helping keep our community safe and improving our community, and helping to just do things that are more efficient for a growing community? So that's just really what I had to say. Do we have a motion?
I would like to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Have you made an election to make a statement that the majority of the people do not want the reservoir to be open? You made an election about
No, I didn't. I didn't.
That's your personal opinion.
No, I didn't do an
That's
election.
your personal opinion.
I did a well.
The majority of the people that talk to me wants the reservoir to be open.
I said that I was reached out by a couple of
I've
community
stated
members.
a few times, the majority of the people don't do that.
Because we have landowners here and we have general population. and a lot of people who live here.
Let's make a workshop. Let's
We
make
can
a
make a
workshop.
workshop.
Let's make a workshop.
I have no problem with that, but majority of the general population,
If
people,
I don't deal with the people that come to me, they want to just work to build.
yes, the people that I'm speaking about are people that pay taxes.
My people pay taxes.
Hold on. Yes, you're speaking about the landlord. I'm speaking about people who pay taxes as taxes overall, not taxes for the land. So these are people who live here on a day-to-day basis.
I'm talking about people who live here.
Yes, but yes. So the landowners are the ones who pay the taxes and get a key. I'm speaking about the people who live on the land or are related to them, and they receive the day-to-day.
Yeah, but I am talking about residents of Ventura Mission. That they come to me all the time, asking me they want the reservoir built. Let's make a workshop and find out who got the biology.
Yeah, we can do
Let's
that.
do a workshop. Not because you say biology don't want the reservoir built.
We can do
That is
that.
not the case.
And then can I have a motion? Any other questions, comments? Okay. Do I have a motion to close this meeting? All right. The meeting's adjourned. Thank you everyone for being here today.
I agree.
First time.